In this video, I'm going to make an About dialog that pops up when the user selects the About option from the Help menu here. Now, how did I get that menu up there in the first place? That is a toolbox item. If I go to the View menu and I pull up Toolbox, there we go. I can type in menu strip, and you'll see that there's a menu strip item. So all I did was I dragged the menu strip item over onto my form, and then once I'm there, I can actually type in the actual menus that I want, and then on each menu, I can put in menu. These are called menu items. So I have a menu strip. The menu strip contains multiple menus, and each menu contains multiple menu items. Now, when you double-click on a menu item, Visual Studio will create a function for you that gets called when that menu item is selected. So let's just, if I double-click on my exit function here, you see it's created a function for me, and now I can just say application.exit. So now when that particular menu item is selected, this function will get called and it'll quit the program. So let's just run that and make sure it works. File, exit, bang, my program quit. There are going to be times where you want a message to pop up and it's a little bit more involved or more complicated or more elaborate than just a regular message box. So let's look at how to do that. What we're going to do is create another form. So I'm going to create a new form here. I'm going to right click on my project and I'm going to say Add Windows Form. And this window will pop up. And here's where I want to give my form a name. Now I want to call it something that makes sense. I'm going to call this About Form. If I had a Help Form, I would call it Help Form. I'll click Add. And what has happened is that I have a new form in my program now. And behind this is a class file. So let me name this thing something. I'll say About Flood It, which is the name of this game. There we go. And notice the text on top of my form has now changed. Now, one thing that is very, very important is that you need to add a button on here so that the player can close this dialog box. So I'm going to bring up my toolbar again, or my toolbox, there we go, and I'm going to search on button, and it's the button under all Windows forms here. There we go. So I'll just drag my button on there, and I will rename it. I'll say close. No, let's call it OK. There we go. And what else can I do on here? So now I have a full-blown form. I can do whatever I want. So this is much more. I can do much more elaborate things than I could with just, say, a regular old message box. So I'm going to add a picture onto here. I'm going to import a picture. I'm going to go to. So I went to Project, Properties, and then I'm going to click on Resources. And now I'm going to add an existing resource because I've already created this little image. I put it in the Game Assets folder in my documents. Where'd they go? Documents, Game Assets, Flood It. There we go. And there's my About icon. So I'll import that. There we go. So back to my form designer. There we go. And so now what I can do is I can do stuff to this form just like I could to the main form. So I'll bring up my toolbox and I'll put in a little picture box. Picture box. Where'd they go? Oh, picture box. Okay, so I'll drag it over there. And I'll right click on the arrow and I'll choose an image and I'll put the About icon in there. And I have to resize my box, it looks like. Okay, and then let me put in some text. I can use a label for that. I'll type in label and label. There we go. So let me close that. And I will put in written by Evan C. Wright. Oh, caps lock. In using Visual Studio 2015. There we go. And the labels can be multi-line. There's properties for that. I can change the font and all that. So, but I'm just kind of trying to throw an example together here. There we go. And so now I've got a form. This isn't really that beautiful, but it's good enough for this purpose. So I'm going to save everything here. And before I do that, what I need to do is make sure that when I click this close button or this OK button that this form closes, and that's easy to do. I'm just going to double click on my button. Visual Studio creates the function for me that handles the button being clicked, and I can just say close. Okay, great. So now I've got this about form in my project, but how do I actually bring it up? Well, I have to go back to my main form, and let's go to the menu bar here. So I've got an about menu, so let me double click on that. And now Visual Studio has created a function for me that gets called when the About menu is selected. So what I need to do now is to create my About form. Well, how do I do that? Well, I can just create a variable of that type, because remember, I have an About form class, right? About form.cs. If I go to the CS file, you can see I've got a class About form. So now I can make variables of type About form. About form, and I'll call it about form equals, and I have to use the new operator, new about form. And now to actually get it to pop up, I can say about form dot show dialog. That's it. Okay, so now let's run this. And if I go to my help, about, there we go, pops up. And now I can click the close box, and it goes away. So there you go. That's how you can create an about box or a help form, or you could create it could be in a very elaborate screen where you configure a character or something like that. So that's how you can add multiple forms to your project and hook them all together up using the menu bar. So this is explained in the handout. If you have any questions about how to do this, please ask. But at a bare minimum, your projects should have, let me run this here, a file menu with an exit option and a help menu that has a help screen and an about message on it. So there you go. If you have any questions about this, please ask. Thanks for watching.